And it's time now for another weekly recap of Trinidad Bhojpuri words and phrase. Once again, I'm happy to be in communication with Dr. Visham Bhimull of Caribbean Hindustani.
Sabko Sitaram.
Sitaram. And Vinay Harrichan of the Cutlass magazine.
Hey everyone, Sabko Sitaram.
So we launched the week with an English word, kaise bole Hindustani mein. Kaise bole iron Hindustani mein. How do you say iron in Hindustani? And not the iron that you're sometimes deficient in, but the hard iron. So how do you say iron in Hindustani? And most of the comments reaching via text message, comments loha, loha, lohar. So different pronunciation, but pretty much the same word, loha. So let's go to Vinay of the Cutlass magazine for kaise bole iron Hindustani mein.
Yes, exactly. So like how, Karen mentioned, we're not talking about the iron that you have to take tablets for. We're talking about the iron that you use to iron your clothes. And overwhelmingly, a lot of the responses were loha. And we noticed some people pronouncing it or spelling it L-O-H-A or L-O-W-H-A to get the phonetical spelling. But yes, loha is correct. And then some people had mentioned lohar or lohara, but we know that to be the actual profession of a blacksmith or an ironsmith. So loha is the actual iron itself, and then lohar or lohara is the ironsmith or blacksmith, the profession of people who use iron.
And on that note of loha for iron, Dr. Bhimull, what has your research shown?
Well, there's a popular song by Chris Ramkilawan from Suriname that goes Aho Banawari. It looks at usefulness, who something is useful to. And one verse goes लोहा कहे हम सबसे बड़ा एक लोहरा से हारी.
लोहा कहे हम सबसे बड़ा और एक लोहरा से हारी.
That's he's telling the iron is telling the blacksmith that I'm better than you. But the blacksmith is now able काट चाट रेल हो जाए है तापर चले रेलगाड़ी.
काट छाट के लाइन बनौलस तापर चले रेलगाड़ी.
That he's able to construct a railway on which a train could move and make progress. So it looks at usefulness of things as well as one staying by yourself and staying bigger than everybody else, or becoming part of everything else and being useful. That's the essence of this song.
Loha, well done everybody. So that was a nice start to the week. And we move on to, this was a combination of two words. JAANGAR, CHOR. JAANGAR, CHOR. Now, I remember saying this growing up, and it wasn't a compliment, JAANGAR, CHOR, referring to somebody. So lots of folks were a little bit confused. They had some trouble with this one because they were able to work out the chor. The jangar, however, was just a bit confusing. So they couldn't figure out a thief of what. So Vinay, what were some of the comments that you got?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, some people were confused by the jangar. They thought, we know chor means thief. And some people had messaged me asking, well, is jangar supposed to be like a jungle? So is it someone who's thief in the jungle? However, jangar chor, when you put it together, it's used for somebody who is incredibly lazy. And I did want to reference one comment that somebody had posted, and they said that it was something that their mother would use very often, where they would say that they had something called an MJC degree, and this is from Sherry Rampal. And she said her mother would ask them if they have an MJC degree, meaning if they have a Maha Jangar Chor degree. For people who know what Maha is, it means great, mighty, the most supreme of something. So that Maha is just adding a little emphasis to someone who is the laziest of them all.
Well, I'm highly qualified. Just put it that way. So let's go over to Dr. Visham Bhimull. Jangar Chor.
So jangar itself as a word means like a limb or a thigh. You could use it for thigh, right? Thigh, and in the context of arms as well. But remember, arms have muscles. So within that context, it eventually came to mean strength, right? In this context of expression, Jangar means strength and chor means a chor is a thief. So one who steals or a stealer of strength, which literally what it means idiomatically, it means a lazy person. We had done, I think, prior another word for lazy, which was korikat.
Yeah, so those were some comments coming in from folks outside of Trinidad. Lazy bones, a lazy fellow, a lazy bum. So yeah, jangar chur. Oh, someone said hidden strength.
No, there's no the two. One is strength, and one is a thief, right? So one who steals strength. Hidden. Um, there's no word in that expression to indicate or give the context of it being hidden.
Okay, so now you viewers and listeners have a clear understanding of jangar chur. So now you know how to use it, and maybe just like the person that Vinay mentioned, maybe you have one of your degrees in jangar chur.
Yeah,
So,
the next time your university age child is just, lying around, ask them if they have their MJC, their Mahajanga Shore degree.
okay, see, I like it. Okay, so we move on to Trinidad Bhojpuri phrase or expression. And so we went with something really simple, and that was AANSOO GIRAYLAA. AANSOO GIRAYLAA. And Vinay, this is something that you see in lots of Bollywood movies. I mean, this is a big scene. I think you have special training for this one. You must do this in a Bollywood movie, must have this in Indian soaps. But of course, in life itself, in good times and not so good times, AANSOO GIRAYLAA.
Yes, definitely. So Asu Girela literally means tears fallen because Asu, if you're, Asu in your eyes, that means you have tears in your eyes. And then Girela means that those tears are fallen. Some people did answer on my reshare that it means tears flowing. And obviously that's adding contextual meaning to the tears, but the literal meaning is tears fallen. And the way that I had actually heard that, funnily enough, was because of a Bollywood movie. My mom told me how her nanny took them to see that movie Dosti, which if people know that movie is very emotional and sad. And she recalls her nanny saying Asu Girela and laughing at her for crying so much.
Oh, AANSOO GIRAYLAA. All right, so there's another one for you, and of course, the use of GIRAYLAA. So thank you all very much for responding. Yeah, it's pretty much the same comments on my end. Tears flowing, tears falling, crying, basically. All right, so thank you very much. Moving on to another Trinidad Bhojpuri word. And this was an exciting word, kohabar, kohabar. And I'm sure you've heard that before. So let me just go over to Dr. Visham Bhimull for this one, kohabar.
A lot of the references, though I would have heard, maybe into the comments, is that a lot of people associate it as altar prepared for the bride, but in each house there's a kohabar. Kohabar, from a religious perspective, going into Hindu philosophy, would see that human beings were sprung from the earth, right? As we made of dirt, which is you basically say the earth comes to form your body, right? Um, so essentially, in that philosophy, we see that we have come from the earth. So what we call is a kulstan, which is places where that would signify that emergence of our kul or our lineage from the earth itself. That's what the kobar is. Um, and then in ancient India, there was what is called the Kul Devata, or the divine manifestation that represents the identity of the village, of the family, or unit of which is the family. So, in that context, then you worship that space or area from whence you would perceive that you have sprung forth, or at least your lineage has sprung forth. A lot of rituals, at least in the Bhojpuri speaking areas where most of the recruits of Indian laborers would have come from, and who most of us would have descended from, carry on that tradition of this Kul Devta worship. As represented within the marriage as the Kohabar. Um, Normally, it is a chamber where the bride or bridegroom would stay away from everybody else before they are brought forward to do whatever rituals prior to and maybe during the wedding. So it's kind of, in a sense, a room for waiting. Um, in other words, you kind of go back to your roots and where you're coming from, because now you're moving forward in life to um, one is a merging of lineages, so the significance is there. We would have also seen it with the lawa, because the girl does her lawa, the boy does his lawa, and lawa milai, right? Which we popular song Murtur. Um, so again, that's the significance of what the kohobar is. At least the nomenclature from the our Bhojpuri tradition, which now comes into Trinidad Bhojpuri.
But how is this different from? Okay, so I heard kohabar, unless it's a mispronunciation, but the paintings or the designs or the decorations.
So usually the kohobar is not anymore. In the olden days, and you would go back to the Exchange Village Mandir, right?
Right.
Of the designs and drawings there. Any space that is prepared for veneration in this context, Kovar and the Kuldevta, it is those designs are seen, and it's quite unique to our our ancestors, our tradition, right? It's quite simplified. It's not anything complex, but in the Kovar, which would be not only in the Kovar, but even in the mandals of those days, wherever you would have some sort of veneration of manifestation of whence you came, your creator, it would usually have these patterns and designs to decorate, because that's how we decorate a long time.
I to go out, we have anything, and draw this thing, this right, Kohabar. I to draw that.
Kohabar? What is that?
Right in the wall.
Oh, okay.
I to draw that.
Vinay, what were some of the comments that you got?
Yeah, a lot of people mentioned, they said the bride's room, they made specific reference to the drawings that you would have on the walls or the decorations. Some people said nuptial chambers, or they even said a bride's waiting room, kind of similar to how we had tested Janwas before, and we said that, that's where the Dulaha waits when he arrives for the wedding, when they used to have night weddings, in the olden days. So a lot of people were answering that nuptial chamber, bride's room, marital room, all of that. And there is a popular wedding song that would be sung, and some people still sing it traditionally, and we'll include the audio here. But it opens with the line, Kach pitarwa ke yehi nawa kohobar. And that song talks about the process of taking the Dulhan, Dulahin to the Kohabar after when they're getting their hardi put on for the ceremony, and they have to go and, give offerings in the Kohabar and then come back, do more hardi and go back to the Kohabar.
Well, let me just read some comments here. Well, this is from Nalini Mohan, and Nalini is in Suriname. And she gave a really clear explanation. So the Kohabar is a room specially dedicated and decorated for the wedding ceremony. And that's where the Kul Puja is performed, where the Kul deity resides during the wedding, and where the Puas have the unpleasant task of making small balls of fresh cow dung and attaching it to the wall behind the makeshift altar. It's in that room where the groom removes his mole and deposits this in the lap of his mother-in-law and vows that he will never again wear this, meaning that he will never again get married.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that there were a lot of people from India who were commenting and saying that
yes,
this is a tradition still in UP and Bihar.
In Bihar, yes, that is correct. So, for those of us here who are just trying to keep up, because there were comments as well from people who had no idea what it is. But yes, it's that sanctified room for the bride, but it's also for the groom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yes, because at least in the traditions as they follow it here, we know that nowadays a lot of grooms will also have the hardi ceremony. And in the same way that the dulaha is getting her hardi put on and she's taken to the kohabar to make offerings, now when the dulaha is getting his hardi put on as well, they do a similar thing with him where they take him to the kohabar, he makes offerings and then comes back.
So now everybody, you guys have a good idea of what the kohabar is. But really nice comments for this word on social media. So well done, and thank you very much to those outside of Trinidad and Tobago who offered a nice explanation of what kohabar is. Right, so we move on to our food-related word. And thankfully, we didn't go nuts with this one. Or we did, actually. Baadam. That was the word that was chosen for last Friday, and everybody just went with almonds. So, Dr. Bhimull?
I remember it from a Sohak. It used the word badam bhar. What sort of almond you would eat, or in this context, and it's someone as nut, right? So even though it specifically means almonds, often I notice it will be used in the context of nuts in general. I mean, at the end of the day, that tends to happen in languages because, I mean, the word verb was an action word in English, but it comes from verbum, which means just word in Latin. So in the same context, we might have a generalization of something we remember as a nut, or vice versa. But yeah, it specifically means almond, but is also used in the general context of nuts.
That wraps up our Trinidad Bhojpuri recap of the words that we featured last week. We have some new words up for you this week. And of course, it's this being the Ganesh Utsav celebrations here and abroad. We've decided that we'll go with some words that are related or associated with Ganesh Utsav. So you'll stay with us for that. Leave your comments. Let us know your thoughts. You can always message us. There's so many ways to get in touch with us. So let's go with Vinay. How can folks get in touch with the Cutlass magazine?
Yes, you can follow me at Cutlass Magazine on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or feel free to send a Sundays or message to cutlasspodcast@gmail.com.
And Dr. Visham Bhimull of Caribbean Hindustani.
Well, as everybody knows, Caribbean Hindustani on Facebook, the YouTube page, and CaribbeanHindustani.org. Look out for the Caribbean Hindustani Trinidad Bhojpuri Facebook that will be out soon, and then classes to teach Trinidad Bhojpuri.
Awesome. All right. So we'll keep you all updated. So follow the videos, just like, subscribe, share as much as possible. And let's continue to appreciate all that we still have. This is a KDC production in collaboration with the Cutlass Magazine and Caribbean Hindustani.